Welcome to a brand new episode of Load In, Load Out, a tour story podcast produced here in Athens, Georgia, and recorded at the state-of-the-art Kindercore vinyl pressing facility. On this episode, Cash and Ryan sit down with Bryan J Howard, leader of the local group known as the HEAP, and member in good standing of Cracker's touring band. Topics of conversation include, but are not limited to, playing bass behind a bass legend, Kindercore has always been at war with the Classic Center, and a discussion of the Forest Heights deer population breaks out into an impromptu hunting podcast. We're as surprised as you are.
Well, I know what I saw you messing with the law. Your crimes don't ever get on the news. And I saw you downtown with Sister Sally Brown and the girl in the sensitive shoes.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan,
I'm Cash.
and this is Load In,
Load out.
and we are here this week with Bryan Howard.
How's
it going?
Ringtone off there.
Hey.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just the ringtone or your phone in general?
Should I turn the whole? No, just the ringtone.
Just so it doesn't make
We're,
sound.
we're busy people. We got to know if we're needed.
It's true, but not during this. That would be really rude. But hey, Bryan, how's it going?
Doing well,
of really,
doing very well.
really rude, just talking.
No, it's cool. It's cool. It's the Athens way.
Yes. Oh man, I don't know if talking over people is the Athens way. Oh man. So, can you give us sort of a background introduction, who you play with, and all that stuff?
Sure. I currently have a band here in town called the HEAP.
Hang on. My finger got stuck on the scroll pad. Sorry. Do that intro one more time.
Jesus Christ.
Just that last part.
Wait, the intro or the last part?
Just the little last part you did.
Oh, introing him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey man, how's it going?
Doing well,
This is a nice
doing well.
natural segue back in, cut back in.
Yeah.
So Bryan, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Cool. Well, my name's Bryan. I've been in town 21 years.
Wow.
Currently play in a band here in town called the HEAP.
Mm-hmm.
And I tour with the band Cracker. I've been with them steadily for the last 4 years. But I moved to town 21 years ago with a band called Slack Daddy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we all lived together. We had this plan.
Yeah.
So the Olympics were happening in 96.
Yeah. Is that when you moved here?
Exactly.
Okay.
So if we moved to Athens in 96, we'd be instant superstars because every place was going to be packed and it was going to be super easy to get shows. And it would happen
Yeah.
Of course.
So,
Right.
21 years later.
Yeah, the Olympics, I mean, they last
yeah.
a long time, so like it just keeps happening.
Oh, yeah. One of the funniest things, though, was I think we were
Been
playing
here 22 years. It's 2018.
May. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
Oh,
be in
wow.
May.
Nice.
But there was a place called Wishbones.
Uh-huh.
And I guess its proximity to the stadium. This was one of the first shows we'd done.
Yeah.
The Olympics are going on.
Yeah.
And we finished, and we hear this huge roar of
The soccer game.
yeah. Brandy
I was
Chastain had
working
just
at Walk
ripped
Street
off
when that
her.
happened. Yeah.
You're like, that's right.
Yeah.
And we're looking at each other like, they
We are
get us.
superstars.
They understand.
That's amazing.
Oh,
and then there was a parade, and then you were like, "Oh my God, these people love us!"
And then you turn around and you look out, there's like 3 people down.
It was, it was
Exactly.
something. I can't remember. It was something crazy. It was like somebody beat Brazil. It was like Nigeria beat Brazil or something like that. And I was working at Walk
So-
Street, and it was just like a flood
Yes.
of people with flags and drums and everything.
It's
and
wild.
The soccer games were here. The football games.
Yes.
And rhythmic gymnastics.
Yes.
In Athens.
Football and rhythmic gymnastics.
Huh.
Ribbon
Where were
dancing.
the rhythmic gymnastics? What?
At the Classic Center.
Huh.
Which I think that was like the first. I mean, I hesitate to call the Classic Center a scam because that's in politics, but like the first instance that the Classic Center was like a cash grab for public money was when it was going to be this amazing Olympics thing, and then it was like, okay, there was some room for stuff, but it was like, it's not big enough. We need more money. Then they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Like Kindercore.
Yes, exactly. And at some point, the two of us are going to meet, and the rest of Athens will have just been assimilated by both of us. Kindercore and the Classic Center will just keep expanding towards each other.
There'll be a war at some point.
Rumble.
As well, there should be. This, but it was a weird time with the Olympics here. I remember because I worked at Walk Street, and I remember Dan Wall was convinced we were all good. This is going to be the best thing ever. We're going to be. It's like printing money, blah blah blah. And remember the pin trading
Yes.
thing? Like everyone was like trading Olympic pins. they got this big thing, like, and he bought all these pins and wound up like totally losing money on it, I think. And it was just like,
He bought a bunch of them to sell them, and nobody bought them.
oh yeah, because people looked around and stuff, but I mean, it was like standing in the store, and he had like 6 of us scheduled at a time because it was going to be like Black Friday or something. You know, like it was
crazy.
It was so weird, and then we were all just standing around looking at each other like, look at all those people outside. They're all walking around on the street. Here. But so where did you guys move from?
We moved from Alexandria, Virginia.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah, you got okay. So because my family lives in outside of DC in Maryland in Silver Spring. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I played with a band up in Virginia called I think it was Backyard Ritual. And they had a band in Manassas called Mary Jane, and they were always telling me how great their bass player was. And it wasn't until like 6 years after I had lived in town, I was talking to Derek Olmsted, and he's like, "Wait, where'd you say they were from?" It's like Manassas. He's like, "Oh, I was the bass player."
No way. That's crazy.
So and then we had known each other for years.
Instead of his band Mary Jane.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Tease him about that.
You lived on the nose. You lived around there during Teen Beat era. Teen Beat Records was around that area at the time. I was in a band on Teen Beat for a little
Oh,
while.
cool. Which band?
Tracy Shed.
Nice.
And oddly enough, Matt, who, or his brother Matt, I met him when he was in high school in Pocket Rockets and didn't realize until after we moved here later, like I already knew him again. And he mentioned some old band that he was in Pocket Rockets. I was like, oh, I met you like forever ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think the only folks I really knew, I'm pretty sure they were on Team Beat, was Blast Off Country Style.
Yeah, that was
Because I knew them
one
from
of the women
JMU.
was- yeah.
Helen.
Evelyn? Or?
Yeah.
Evelyn.
Evelyn,
Excuse me,
yeah.
Evelyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. She ended up marrying Mark.
Okay.
They have like
Yeah.
3 kids now.
Yes, I actually remember I saw Blast Off Country Style at Lollapalooza.
Oh, nice.
They were on the side stage. It was like the side stage in Maryland was like
How
it was
bizarre
like,
that
it
they
was
were
like
at
Blast Off Country
Lollapalooza.
Style and Tsunami and like a bunch of other like.
You got to see
regional-
Tsunami?
I mean, I'd seen him before, but
I love Tsunami.
Or I'd seen him at the same time as I was watching Green Day that time,
Nice.
or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it was like it was crazy, yeah. But so you guys moved up here to had you guys played out like were you an established band up there doing stuff?
We were getting to the point because I had left college to pursue this, and we were waiting for our singer to finish his
Okay.
degree. So once he graduated, then we moved down. And we actually lived in Comer for the first year and a half.
Wow.
Yep.
Because you were like, we're gonna make it big. We're gonna
Oh,
make
it was
big in Comer
amazing.
for the Olympics.
We lived on like this
amazing.
140-acre place.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a great story about that too. But there was a caretaker, Joe Wood, and it was kind of like his hunting cabin because the people that lived there moved to Massachusetts. So, he was all right with us living there, but he really missed like using it for hunting. He's like, yeah, if y'all ever come in and you see blood leading into the back door, you're gonna know what's going on. So what would be going on? Why would we ever have a trail of blood?
What would be going on? Yeah,
Don't worry about it. It's just a deer. I swear it's just a deer.
terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were out there for I think about a year and a half. It was an interesting place.
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
Did you practice that? Like, did you get it? 'Cause
See,
it's a
that
place
was
where you
what
can
was
play
great.
and everything. Yeah. That's cool.
See, I don't know why you get a whole hunting lodge with 140 acres out there when you could just go to Forest Heights and like there's more deer there
can
than
run
I've
over
ever
deer
seen in my
faster.
entire life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you don't need
Oh my
you don't
God.
need a gun. You
Speaking
just just run around, run down with your car.
I was walking my dog Hambone through Forest Heights the other day, and I mean it's like maybe 3 weeks ago, and out of nowhere this deer comes cutting across, and it has an arrow sticking out of it.
Oh,
Oh,
And
good
it's
God.
like, and it was the scariest fucking thing. The deer was like, and the deer was freaked out. Obviously, it has an
Right,
arrow
yeah.
out of it. So it like ran out into the street right in front of this car that like slammed on its brakes. Hambone was like, because you could tell it was like this animal thing where he knew like something was sick because the deer was
yeah.
making weird sounds and he was just running back and forth through people's yards trying to figure out a way to get away, I guess.
Oh,
It was so like intense. It was one of those things where you see like nature and you're like, respect. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
holy shit. Like if that, like that had gone any
Good
differently,
God.
like that deer could have just stampeded us,
Yeah.
It would have been like, all right, yeah.
Was it a buck?
Yeah.
So it could have
So
gored you with the horns.
Yeah, and somebody
Antlers, whatever.
clearly was hunting, and it was like, it looks like,
Well, it could have been someone hunting. Could have been some kid screwing around in his backyard.
I mean, yeah, because it basically was like they shot the deer in the ass, and it was like, kind of hanging
And
out,
shot,
but
and
it was
then-
just like running around, like,
Oh, goodness.
what the fuck is happening? That was scary.
Oh.
But yeah.
So this is no longer a podcast about
Scary Deer
tour
Story
stories.
podcast.
It's a hunting podcast. Yeah.
A hunting podcast with only hosts and guests that don't hunt. That would be great. It's just like, so let's talk about, and it's not like anti-hunting. It's like, let's talk about what we think hunting is like.
This week, we'd like to shine a little light and love on the Food Bank of Northeast Georgia. The Food Bank of Northeast Georgia is a 501c3 that recovers donated and salvaged surplus food and then distributes it to human service agencies that then distribute that food to residents in need. The Food Bank works with local, regional, state, and national product partners to bring that food into the community. You can learn more at foodbanknega.org. That's foodbanknega.org.
Well, one reason we were excited about the place was like, yeah, there's enough that we can have our own festival here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we ran into Carl Lindbergh, who told us about
yeah.
the Shanti.
Uh-huh.
And he was doing that annually. We're like, well, you should come check out this space
Yeah.
to see if you'd be interested. We'd love to have it out here. And he and a few folks came out and they're like, well, it's cool, but I think it's a little far out.
Too far away.
So about 2 weeks before the festival, we see posters for it, and we're looking at the directions like, wait a second. These are directions to our house.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Like 2 weeks ahead of time.
Well, it gets better, though, because it was the day everyone started coming in. There were a few hundred folks. And it was the one day that the owners of the property had come down from Massachusetts.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, so we're having a few folks over.
Yeah, just a couple people. Just having a
Meanwhile,
little
the cars everywhere. They're like,
my
just
God.
keep them out of the family cemetery. Everything
they
will
were
be
fine?
They were actually cool with
Oh,
it.
that's awesome.
So,
That's cool.
but, yeah, and then
So there's a family cemetery on the land?
yeah.
It was that kind of
wow.
place. Yeah,
Yeah, it
like,
was.
where Priscilla grew up in Florida. They had their like the farm that the family had a family cemetery. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was like
it was
out in the
wild.
woods, was it like out in the woods or something like that?
Yeah, it was, off a distance from
Yeah.
the house, and but
Gotta keep the
we had
ghosts
done
away.
a lot keeping the place up, so they were fine with it. They
Yeah.
liked that the grass was
That's
cut.
totally
and
like
all
Who played
that.
the
band.
festival?
Oh, a lot of folks. Fuzzy Sprouts, a band called Jeet Najou. I don't know if you remember
I
them.
remember them.
Kingfish,
I remember that name.
Big Daddy Zeb,
remember that name.
Big C, some Kingfish.
Yeah, yeah.
and I think Fuller, and I think Carlton Squat, I think, played.
Yeah.
Space Voyage, Ahem. Matt Stossel, who is actually the pedal steel player in Cracker now.
Yeah.
He was the first person to play. He played acoustic.
Really?
Yeah,
He
it was a
just
ton
opened it
of
up.
folks.
That's
There was
wild.
like some kind of Haitian dance thing.
Cool.
I was like, none of these folks are Haitian, but it's cool.
But they tell me that the dance is, so
But it was great. Everyone was really nice, and yeah, so,
that's really funny.
so that was an interesting introduction into like Athens life.
And that's totally like moving here as a band. Like that's like the band dream, like move somewhere together, live in a house together where you practice.
Did it for I think 5 years. We lived together before
Yeah.
we started going different. Yeah, we were still playing, just living in
like
different places.
tired
at
of
that
living
point.
with each other, maybe.
You play with other people, though, right?
Yeah,
Play with the Violent Femmes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
that was so. That all comes from playing with Kevin Kenny. So Kevin
Driving
Kenny,
and Crying.
correct?
Yeah.
And I was with him for 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
So Kevin is from Milwaukee.
Oh yeah.
And grew up and was good friends with Brian Ritchie. So on the ride to like my first show with him, he's like, so who are some of your favorite bass players?
Yeah.
I was like, well, of course, James Jamerson, Carol Kay, John Paul Jones, Brian Ritchie. He's like, wait. Brian Ritchie from the Violent Femmes? And he's like, yeah. He's like, he's one of my best friends, blah, blah, blah.
Oh man.
So fast forward a few years, I'm playing with Sarah Lee Guthrie, Arlo's daughter, and her husband. And Kevin was opening some of the shows. He had jumped off the tour at this point, but he's like, you're going to Milwaukee, you should call Brian. So it was like,
You're
this
like,
is one of my,
one of my
honestly,
heroes,
one of my
right?
bass heroes. And I was pacing for I was like, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And he was really cool on the phone, and told him there'd be tickets waiting. And he shows up and he stands in the wings of the stage with his arms folded, just staring me down the entire time. And and I'm trying to
Oh
put
my
on a
God.
show, but I'm fully
Right.
aware that like,
That this is happening right there.
yeah. So then afterwards, he stuck around. We talked. I had seen them at the WHF festival.
Yeah.
And I think it was the very first one, and he's like, "Oh, was that the one where all the pizza boxes?" I was like, "I can't believe that this guy who's literally
Remember
done
that.
thousands of shows remembers this specific incident and is
so
correct
funny.
about it."
Yeah.
But
That's
then,
great.
so after he saw that, he's like, "Hey, well, we're going to be in Charlotte October 29th. Why don't you come out if it's not too far and play bass on Gone Daddy Gone so I can do
Oh no,
those."
it's not too far.
Yeah, you're like, I promise you, it's not too far. Yeah.
Exactly. But the funny thing is, it was like this Halloween show.
Wait, did he know that you wanted to play, or did he just offer
he
that
just
out of the?
he just
Yeah.
they're a really cool organization where
Yeah.
like the techs also are the
cool.
horns of dilemma and play during the show.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So, but it's a Halloween show, and I called Andrew from Slack Day. He's like, "I'm about to play with one of my all-time favorites, one of my all-time favorite groups, but everyone's going to be dressed like demons and stuff." It's like- but it was great. At soundcheck, he's like, "Yeah, we're going to do this Coltrane." He was like, "Oh God!" Now he's going to find out that I'm a
Just drop
hack or
something on you,
something.
yeah.
But it was really cool. So it got to the point where if they were within like 200 miles, he'd call and say,
Yeah.
And then there was one time he's like, "Is Missouri too far to drive?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a bit of a haul." And like 15 minutes later, I had a plane ticket.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's very cool.
And
Did
then
you play with Guthrie, Sarah Lee Guthrie?
correct.
My friend Brad Loretti, I think toured with her a little bit. This Frontier Needs Heroes,
Huh? Was it?
or played with her at least. a
I
couple
was
times.
on the
In
tour
Jacksonville.
for their record called Exploration. It was probably after. Did he mention like Zeke being with them or Jay
I don't
Brown?
know. I play on his albums and I play with him live sometimes. But I
you say
remember
play
him being
pedal
really
steel?
stoked about it. No, it's like acousticy, like Americana type stuff.
They've got some great songs. It was wild because that was the longest I'd ever been out.
How long
Straight
was it?
3.5 months, I think.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
The first tour the Agenda ever did was 3.5 months long. It
Yeah.
almost killed us. It was
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
And
Especially all together and like learning how to get along with
Yep.
these people.
yeah.
and their daughter was with us too.
Oh,
which was-
wow. How old?
She was 2.5.
Oh man.
But it was great.
Did they make it? I feel like that might make it a little easier because there's something else for them to concentrate on.
Exactly. Well, they had a nanny who was
yeah.
out. So Olivia, or Oni as they called her, was like this great distraction for us because if you know how things are on tours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
They can get real tense
Yeah.
between each other.
but she was blast. She was a lot of fun.
That's great.
So she used to come to the side of the stage. I'd do this thing where with my hair around. And she's like, "Oh, do the helicopter, do the helicopter thing."
That's
But
great.
I stay in touch with Sarah Lee and Johnny every now and then. We opened for Ray LaMontagne
Yeah.
on tour. I'd never heard of him.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard his name before.
Yeah, I've definitely
I
heard of him. I've heard his music.
And it was weird that like the first night I was like, "Why is there a line around the block?"
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like-
He was
Yeah,
like-
he was pretty big. He was
crazy.
promoting a record called Trouble, and it may have been like his first
Okay.
thing, but
Yeah.
I remember he was huge there for a minute. He might still be.
Yeah.
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. That
think
song
he was-
Trouble, I remember
That was
hearing that
probably
quite a bit.
around early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Because that was about the
Exactly.
time I owned a record store, and I feel like I remember that album doing well.
Yeah, I can see that. And then after Sarah Lee and Johnny, I did stuff with Jim White. I did a tour
yeah.
in Europe with him.
Cool.
And then I was also playing in other bands in town. There's a band called Jackpot City that became Heavy Feather. I was with them. And
When did the HEAP start?
the HEAP started in, I want to say it was 2008. Like, I had this bright idea. It's like, well, I'm the sideman guy, so all these folks that I play with can go off and do their own thing. It's like, I'm going to start a band. It was supposed to be like a Morphine ripoff band
Okay.
with just like 2-3 people. And I was
Which
like,
is really funny because I assumed that when you were like, oh, there was a concept, I was like, oh, the concept was that there's a shit ton of people. No, the concept was that there were
Was
3
it-
people.
Yeah, and then it
that-
just kind of grew
you kinda
and
failed
grew,
at
and then
that
I was like, I completely failed at what I was trying to do, which was have something I could go on the road with.
Oh, I see. So,
When-
no, you created a band that you can't tour with at all, right? Yeah. There's way too many personal. Yeah.
Yeah, but it,
How
it
many people are
sounded
in
so
the band?
good.
It sounds incredible. Yeah. How
So-
many people are in the band?
There are 8.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. And
You know.
so there's a horn section,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Favorite show I've ever been.
Yeah.
It's
It's fun stuff. And so
and there's a new record.
It's a new record. It takes 8 years to put it out for no good reason at all.
Takes a long
see, like
time.
when we're pressing records, and some people are like, blah blah blah, like, oh, whatever, it's not that big a deal. I'm like, some people have spent a decade on some of these recordings.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So like, we need to make them as good as we can make them, because like you said, you guys have spent 8 years on this record.
Yeah, I mean, we've recorded it, I think, 3 different studios. So it has an interesting sound because, I think we did a session at Flickr.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
And, just did that remote. And then our saxophone player's house, his studio, there's a percussionist, I want to say he's like Bishop or something, Todd Mueller, who has a great studio, did stuff there. And then this whole time I'm getting recording gear. And when I was to the point where I was like, there's no point in even putting this out because it's been so long. And then like, how are you going to promote a record where you've been playing those songs for 8 years already? So I was like, you know what? We've never really had a guitar player in the band. So I started reaching out to some guitar players, and having them come on made it fresh again for me. It made it, Yeah, I was lucky enough. Greg Leischer from Camper Van Beethoven plays on it.
Cool.
Matthew Williams from Pickled Holler locally. He used to be with Randall Bramblett. He plays on it. Kevin Sweeney is on it. Ben Spraker's on
Kevin
it.
Sweeney.
Yeah, so it's I would take the song and I was like, oh, well, this one has this kind of groove. Ben would be perfect for that. And, when I got the stuff back, it was just, was fantastic. And Greg from Camper, I think he's one of the most underrated guitar players out there.
Yeah,
it's
that's awesome.
He's just fantastic.
That's really cool.
So yeah, it's been nice doing that. And
have you guys done any? You haven't done any touring, have you?
We never did any touring. Although I think the farthest we went was like Valdosta or something.
Yeah.
But they wanted to pay us, $2,600 to do it. So
we'll go there. Bring AP to Valdosta.
So we had no problem doing that. And then we used to play in Macon and do pretty well.
Yeah.
And
that's
where
awesome.
we met this guy. Yeah. And but yeah, so things get busy for folks and the whole cracker thing.
Yeah, how did that come about?
So just out of the blue as far as I was concerned. I was playing in a band called Free Mountain with Kevin Sweeney and Mark Brill and Jared Hosmick. And we had done a show at the 40 Watt, and David came up afterwards and was extremely complimentary, which kind of freaked me out because my only experience with him before was when he yelled at me for somebody getting in the backstage door.
Oh, because you
at
were
the
working.
40 Watt.
That's awesome.
So I was surprised, but I told Pam, I was like, my wife, I was like, I have a feeling I'm going to wind up working with him at some point. But I'll never forget, it was July 2nd, 2012. I get an email from Valina that's like, hey, how would you feel about going out on tour with Cracker for a month? They're doing this thing with the Bare Naked Ladies and Blues Traveler. And I was working at the software job at the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were,
So,
what'd you do there?
So I went to the guy who was basically my supervisor. I was like, this just happened, and how do you feel about it? He's like, well, do you want to go? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, are you going to do it as vacation time, or are you going to work from the road? I was like, ooh. I'm going to work from the road.
That's what I used to do.
So did that for a while, and they wanted me for a month, but I was able to do 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I guess, things happened and the band was restructured. So now everyone in the band, except for Johnny, is from Athens or lives in Athens.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's,
How was your experience working from the road? Because that's what I used to be a data analyst, and I would tour and work from the road.
Oh, it was great. I would, monitor stuff. I could do whatever I wanted as long as nothing was going wrong. And if I had a project, knock it out as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
So that no one can complain.
Right.
But there would be times, I remember we did a show in London, which is another interesting story.
Yeah.
But the doors are open. But the only place I could get Wi-Fi connectivity was out in the crowd, so everyone's filtering in, and I'm, setting up somebody's custom software installation.
That's really funny.
Yeah, and then because of the time difference,
Right.
I could go and I can do a conference call, but it has to be, 11 p.m. or whatever.
So what's the story about London?
Some of the guys.
Is this a Cracker
This is
tour?
Cracker.
Okay.
I think there was a mix-up with work permits.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And you know they're very strict about it.
Yes,
Yes.
they are.
Well, it turned out some of the guys were not allowed to re-enter for
no.
6 months.
Not re-enter.
Yeah,
they
it
didn't
was.
have their-
They got caught, and basically, it wasn't a huge deal, but the fact that they didn't just come out and say this
They had
was
say, hey, we
DUIs
don't
or
have
something.
them, or-
That's usually
no,
what
it was strict. It was but you've lied to the crown.
Oh yeah. She
So,
doesn't like that.
so
Yeah.
boom. That's this whole weird because they've got like all the security cameras and the lights that circle the cameras that are like
Yes.
telling you we are
Yeah.
watching your
The
every
whole
move.
situation is super. Going to, I mean, that's the only international touring I've done was going to England, but like the airport situation, especially because I think we went in 2003, so it was soon after 9/11,
Oh, yeah.
and it was like, it was no fun.
Yeah, not at all. But to me, the story I told was true. I just left out the part about bringing a bass. In fact, I was so nervous. We had been touring Spain. We're jumping over to do London. So some of the gear went to. I think we were going to go to either the Netherlands or Switzerland after. So I'm not going to walk through there with a bass and have them ask me, and I forgot you pick it up after, but whatever. But
Yeah.
I got in touch with Brian from the films, and it's like, do you know anyone in London who could loan me a bass? Dude shows up with like a 1962 Fender P bass that's
Whoa.
easily worth $10,000, and
Here, just this old thing.
it's like it was just for one show. I was terrified. I wouldn't even put it on a stand. It was either
Right.
in my hands
Yeah.
or
You're like,
in the case. And I didn't know if it was going to come through, and I had gotten to the point where I was like, well, what I'll do is I'll buy a bass in London, and then I'll just sell it at the
Yeah.
merch table
Right.
afterwards. I'll get everyone to sign
Ah,
it,
that'd
and
be great.
make my money back.
Yeah.
Because Jim White would do stuff like that.
That's
he
crazy.
Would,
Yeah.
That
is a
so
good
I think he
idea,
sold. I think he sold pretty much his whole touring rig at the end of our run in
Really?
London. Sold his amps, sold
It
his
was-
guitars.
Wow, that's so
Brilliant.
Funny. Yeah, that's
You know?
amazing. Man.
So it was funny to me.
Yeah. So you didn't get in
No,
trouble?
because I
Were you
told
the only one that got away with it?
David and I
Okay.
got through. So at
Wait,
one point,
so like they couldn't even play the show, or
they eventually let him
okay.
in, which was good.
But then they couldn't come back.
They couldn't come back for 6 months. They might be pissed.
That'd be funny if they
But
wouldn't let
it's funny.
That's
story.
ridiculous.
Would have been
That's
funny if they
ridiculous.
wouldn't have let him leave for 6 months.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you live here for 6 months now. Now you work for the crown.
But yeah, it was
Paid off your
wild
debt.
that because they're really everywhere else in Europe. It was never a problem, but going
Yeah,
in
England,
there,
that's like,
Well, I don't know. I
super
mean, I feel
serious.
like Canada's the hardest.
Canada's
another
very
that I've
serious
heard.
too.
we
like,
were
you-
fine going in there, but
Even if you have a DUI, like even if it's in your past, like they won't let you through, and then they were like, don't even try for like 5 years or whatever.
They won't let you through, then they shame you.
Yeah.
On top of
Like,
it.
don't even try coming back.
Yeah.
No, you're not
Yeah,
allowed.
You
Well,
should be
I think-
ashamed of yourself, you fucking American.
I think we were lucky because it was years and years ago, well over like 15 years ago, I had a issue like that. But I think the festival wrote these letters for us. We were doing the Winnipeg Folk Festival
Oh,
up
yeah.
there, so
That's
that was cool. And then when we were with Soul Asylum, they just waved us through. Which
Really?
was, yeah.
Because they were like known enough, or
I don't think so.
That's weird,
I think
yeah.
it was just,
like, oh, this
they look
organization has
well.
it together.
You look in the band, and
Right.
we don't really look like we're going to cause trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
And
hey,
it's
yeah,
it's not a lot of so we're pretty
yeah.
easy going. So they just waved us through. But that was wild doing that Soul Asylum
Yeah. So
tour.
what was that?
They were it was just last year. But I was all excited because the guy who's playing drums with him is Michael Bland, who used to play with Prince.
Oh wow.
So just amazing.
So you were playing with Soul Asylum?
I wasn't playing with them. Cracker was
Okay,
opening
you
the
guys were
shows.
touring, okay.
So, but they were great guys.
That's
and,
awesome.
And
Yeah.
enjoyed the song. So I've been really lucky. This is all going back to like work and how I found out about all this. And when it came up, I hadn't been on the road in probably like 5 years or so, and I was coming to terms with the fact that, well, I got farther than at least 90% of people that try this.
I say that all the time. Yeah,
and I've enjoyed it. I had a lot of cool experiences. So if it's all behind me, that's fine. And,
little did you know the biggest thing.
Exactly, which was pretty wild. And then after that tour, then I was called in to do some songs on the new record.
Oh wow! So
And then-
recording too. So how often are you touring with them?
I would estimate I'm on the road with them about 70 days a year.
wow, that's
That's a lot. But
That's
it's
a lot.
Yeah,
That's
and I based that off of, I was told that, I was talking to Pistol, he said that 116 days on the road, but sometimes they do a thing where they go out, it's just the three of them. So, but, most of the time, so yeah, it's easily about 70.
yeah.
Is this your main thing now, or do you have to hold down a day job?
No, I'm a voice actor.
Really?
Yes.
Dream.
For what?
That's
What will we know you from?
Well, I saw you had the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
If you do you do Steam games at all?
I do.
So there's a game on Steam called Day of Infamy.
Okay.
It's a World War II first-person shooter.
All right.
If you unlock the 92nd Infantry, it's my voice.
You're in there.
Ah,
That's
okay.
amazing.
And then the coolest video game to me is it's one called Observer. So I'm recording this dialogue in my room, in my little studio at home, and send it in. 2-3 months go by, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're getting ready to release it in a few weeks." And then their surprise announcement is Rutger Hauer
Oh wow.
voiced the main character.
Huh.
So I'm playing this
you're
game,
interacting
and I'm
with
watching myself basically act with Rutger Hauer, having had no idea who it was
Oh,
going
that's
to be.
super cool.
That is
And
really
do that.
cool.
So it's mostly for video games.
Commercials, the audiobooks.
Yeah.
The audiobook is selling really surprisingly well because
What audiobook is it?
it's called something to the effect of music theory, everything you need to know from beginner to expert.
Oh, okay.
And when you go, so there's a company called ACX that's connected to Audible, and I can go through and look at books, and I always filter it anything that's less than 3 hours. I'm not really into reading porn, so
Right.
filter that.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Really?
There's a lot.
That's hilarious. So you can just look through people that are in need,
And then you audition
submit.
if they like it,
Yeah.
So I've done
funny.
3. The first one I did was Fast Road to Hell, when the Daltons rode on Kansas. It's all about the Dalton boys and all that. It sold 11 copies. This is over a year.
So do you get paid per copy?
I get a percentage of his percentage of the royalties.
Okay.
Audible, I believe, takes 60%.
Okay.
So I ultimately split that remaining 40 with him. And then there's a thing called bounties. If somebody buys my book or buys the book that he wrote that I narrate, and they join Audible to do it, and they stay a customer for 60 days, then I get an extra $25.
All right.
All right.
So, but yeah, the first book sold 11 copies. The rebooted, which is one thing that's weird is you don't get to see the full script.
Oh.
And then when I got it, I was like, this is a retelling of The Monkey's Paw. That one sold 1 copy.
What?
But
No way.
the-
Are these independent published
Oh, yeah.
things? Okay, so these are just somebody wrote
Exactly.
a book,
So
and
it's you
yeah.
never know if something's going to catch.
It's an
or not.
audiobook of a book that no one bought either. Right?
Correct.
That's
Exactly.
all.
All the big sellers have already been taken.
Well, if it's somebody like a John Grisham or somebody like that, they're going to go to a known
Yeah,
person
there's,
because
they're people. Yeah.
they want to make sure that it's a success. But the music theory book has sold almost 5,000 copies,
Hey,
which is
that's-
really
great.
pretty amazing.
Christmas is going to be good this year.
It'll be all right. I get a few $100s in the mail
Yeah.
every month, and
See, that's the coolest thing. I mean, it rarely ever happens. One time, actually, it happened because, when Macklemore and Ryan Lewis came out, Ryan Lewis and I got confused for each other on a royalty statement from Spain. Unfortunately, it was only for one statement, and it was only for a remix that he had done. So I got $120 from him, and I was like, "That's cool." There's no way that can you imagine calling ASCAP and being like, "I think you gave this to the wrong person. Can I give it back to you?" They'd just be like, what? So I just took it, but I was like, and then the next
He's
time
coming
though,
after you now.
I know.
You just admitted it on,
Come on,
air.
man.
He's coming after you.
Come and get it. I owe you $120.
Money.
And I can finally get mad at you for making me not the Ryan Lewis that does music anymore.
Yeah.
Like for a year, my whole life, it was like, oh yeah, Ryan Lewis does music. Yeah, and then it was like, oh, you know that guy Ryan Lewis who does music? That's not you. It used to be me.
Oh, it's crazy.
But so any like crazy tour stories, any kind of like danger or anything like that?
Have you felt your
come up?
life was truly in danger?
When I ever thought, well, there was a bar in Amsterdam that I was there having a few drinks, and guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, you're American, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know how I know?" It's like, "'Cause you're fat."
Oh my God. Seriously?
Yeah. So
Was he wasted?
he was wasted.
Okay, yeah.
And and I'm there with I think it was with Kevin and his friend Eric from Die Kreutzen. We were just hanging out, and then the guy comes over. He's like, "My people used to sell your people."
No.
And I was like, "Wow,
fucking
this guy has
way.
absolutely no filter." I was
Holy
like, "Where does he expect us to
shit.
go?" So I'm like, I don't want this to escalate. We wind up talking a little bit. I realize he's just hammered.
Right.
And then he throws what I think is his wallet on the counter.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "This is hashish. This is hashish. If you want to take it back to the States, you take it and you shove it up your ass." I was like, wait a
It's a
second.
wallet-sized
First
brick
it
of
starts off, I'm fat. Then your people sold my people. Now you're trying to get me to shove hash up my ass?
Yeah.
And
Like,
Take
does
it
he
to
want
the-
you to
Yeah.
buy it and
by
then
the
sell it,
I
or what?
swear to God, by the end of the evening, he's invited me out on a boat ride with him and his friends.
You're like,
and
no,
Kevin is
not
like,
with
"No."
what you said about your people selling my people. I'm not
No,
going on a
dude,
boat with you.
you totally should have
No, I'm
gone
not.
on that. Yeah. Oh yeah. That'd been the craziest experience of your life.
Yeah, it was pretty
I
wild.
will not get on a boat with you, sir. Oh my God, seriously? Yeah, so we know what would happen on the boat. Well, that would have been the part of the story where you died.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this,
Then you wouldn't be here.
But
Yeah.
it was just such
Or
a
they die.
weird way for the whole thing to progress.
That
And it's
is
like, and he wouldn't
crazy.
go. And Kevin and I
wouldn't
used
leave
to
you
say that
alone,
we
huh?
were, freak magnets, and
Yeah.
there would be all kinds of
That's
stuff
happened
like
to
that
me on tour
all
too.
the time.
If there's somebody, so if there's like a weirdo in a bar and they're gonna start messing with somebody, it's always me.
Yep.
Like for whatever reason, people will just come up to me and they'll just be like, "Hey," and just start pushing me, and you're like, "What?
Yep.
What did I do?"
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Matt and I would joke about this endlessly with grape soda because everywhere we go, it'd be like, "Oh, cool, that guy's gonna hassle me now," and then it would happen like immediately. we were in Philadelphia. We were talking about it. We walked into this bar, and I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be the guy." And like 5 seconds later, the guy's like, "Hey, shoving me, like, what's wrong with you?"
It is funny because, working at the 40 watt for years, it's like I can spot him immediately.
Oh, yeah.
I know
You know,
which one it's
yeah.
going to be. And, be like 90% accurate that, it's
Yeah.
usually the jerk.
Yeah.
But you
yeah.
mentioned Philadelphia. I got a pretty funny story. At least it's funny to me about
Yeah.
Philadelphia. This is when Slack Daddy was playing. We did go
Yeah.
around, and we were in Philadelphia playing Doc Watson's. And first off, right after sound check, the AC system catches on fire.
Oh my God.
Now, we had just had stuff stolen the week before, a week or two. And so we're loading out. And they're like, "No, it's a fire." We know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're
It's like-
getting everything out. Yeah.
So
Oh,
turns
my
out
God.
that we're going to do the show anyway.
Was it the summer?
It was in the summer
So
because
it's
we
hot
were still
also.
in school then. And there were some friends of ours. I think we were staying with a dude from a band called the Julies. But he needed to leave at the end of the night. And there's this car blocking like the fire escape that we used to load in and out. We're like, "Hey, can somebody move that car?" And they're like, "Hey, do you know whose car that is?" Like, how would I know whose car that is? That's Tex Cobb's car. I'm like,
Okay,
well,
who one moves Tex Cobb's
I was like,
car?
"Well, please get Mr. Tex to move his car."
Yeah.
So I didn't put two and two together. There was Randall Tex Cobb from one of my all-time favorite movies, Raising Arizona.
Oh shit.
So
Yeah. Wow.
he comes out.
That's
and we're
crazy.
like, "Oh my God!" And the dude who we were staying with was like, hey, can we see you throw a punch just to see you in action? He's like, I couldn't do that. He's hammered. And then he throws his foot up, misses the dude's nose by like half an inch. I was like, scared you, didn't I? But he signed our mailing list and moved the car. But
that's so cool.
Yeah, but it was like,
was he from Philly?
It's
Is
Leonard
that
Smalls. Yeah,
that's
I think so.
funny. Wow.
But
He was especially hard on the little thing.
You've
Man,
got
that movie.
flies.
Oh, God.
It's so good.
Yeah, these balloons blow up into funny shapes. Not unless round is funny.
I'm working on this song right now. That I think I'm probably gonna debut Tuesday, called "I Hate Balloons."
Oh wow!
And I used that sample. I was like, wait a second. I was like, how can I? So I was like, well, I don't really have the money to dig into like licensing and all that.
Yeah.
And, I'm just like, it would look pretty hypocritical if bass player from Crackers like stealing stuff from those Coen brothers.
Yeah, maybe your boss has a reputation.
It's like,
You should have just stolen it and then put it up on Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool, man. You get your 1 cent.
Yeah. So but yeah, what a great movie. Speaking of which, we're driving through. We were coming from, I want to say Zurich, or driving to Bilbao or something like that. And we get out of the van, and David's like, "Oh, just to let you know, I sued Spotify last night."
So,
all right,
we're gonna be answering for that for the rest of the tour.
It was fascinating. He's a really cool dude, and I feel I've learned a lot from him.
That's awesome.
Really funny.
Yeah.
That's
very cool.
I've only been around him a few times.
I don't think I've met him, actually.
I'm not sure that we've met, but like, oh, it's David. Oh, hi. Yeah.
But yeah, great guy. Yeah, you
Yeah.
should. He's got some great stories.
I bet.
That's the
he
trick,
does.
is getting people to tell you the stories that they don't want to part with because they involve too many people they don't want to sell out. Or
Yeah, we had a
Exactly.
few people on here who were like, they told stories, but there was other stories they could have told, but they chose not to because they didn't want to anger other people.
This used to happen in the beginning more too, but remember, like, people would say stuff and then they'd be like, "Actually, can we take
edit
that
that
part
out?"
out?"
Yeah.
You know. And I'm a big fan of bleeping people's names out because I think bleeps are hilarious. Like, just when you're listening to something out of nowhere, it's like, boop, and you're just like, wait, what? So there was one episode where Jeff Tobias was on talking about somebody getting, they got pulled over in Poland, and the guy ate a bunch of weed, like he had a bag in his pocket and he had to eat it. And so he had said the guy's name, and then it was like, oh no, he has like a really serious job now, like, don't, whatever.
And a family
so
or
then
whatever.
the episode was just hilarious because it was like,
Every time he said his name,
and ate all this weed, and it was crazy because boop was like blah blah blah. So now, like, Cracker is your main touring thing now,
Correct.
And then the HEAP record came out just recently, or is
Camper and Cracker do this. They do a 3-day festival here in Athens, and they also do one out in California. So California is called Camp Out. Athens is called Camp In.
Okay.
And the very hardcore, very dedicated Cracker fans call themselves Crumbs.
Okay.
So the Crumbs descend upon Athens, and like, well, this is the perfect time. So that was my hard deadline.
Oh, nice.
And we were out on tour, and I'm still trying to get artwork and all this stuff
Finishing all the
together.
little bits
And,
of it, yeah.
But it was great, and turned out. I mean, I think as well as we could have done without spending another 8 years on it. Like,
The problem, it has to be done at some point.
Exactly, and it was like, because I'm thinking, it's like, why does this taking so long? It's like, oh, because you were lazy and you didn't work on it.
You're like, really? Did it really take that long?
Stupid reality.
It was,
You say you want to be friends, but pretty babe, I still hope to win you in the end. Oh, what have you got?
spread out over
exactly.
a long time. Man, well, that's
Yeah.
so. How can people find it?
The easiest way, it's on all
Spotify.
Exactly. Funny enough, it's funny because
guys been
I get
cleaning up on Spotify
auditions
then?
from Spotify for voiceover work.
Oh, wow.
And half the time I was like, should I tell my agent? It's like, nah.
That's really
no
funny.
need for them
You're
to
like,
know.
I think this is a conflict of interest. I'm financially involved with someone who's
But you know,
suing you.
I'll do a spot for Rap Caviar or something like that. I haven't actually landed any Spotify jobs,
Wow.
but I see a good number of them.
That's
come
really-
through.
wow,
In fact, I
that's
did
really crazy.
2 or 3 auditions from this past week.
You haven't done? Have you done any cartoon stuff or anything? Or?
Not any. No, not yet.
Adult cartoons? No cartoons.
Not yet.
You're like walking around that
That's
one
where
in
the
a row.
porn
You're like,
rule came from.
I
You
No.
did one cartoon, and then you're like, never again.
Fritz the cat.
It's like, well, they're little animated things that I
Okay.
do, but I don't really,
Not a
it's not
cartoon.
really like character work or
Yeah,
anything. It's more like e-learning cartoons.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
and stuff. And,
I did some. It actually was really funny because I did like a math, like e-learning thing, and it was ridiculous because like math has like lifelong been one of my biggest problems, like to the point where I like stress dreams about it, and so like to have to record like, and I was so broke at the time, and I really wanted to get into some of this stuff, so I was just like, I will take it, and then I just like sat there in a living hell, like reading all this stuff about math that I didn't understand. And I was like, I hope
Yep.
this is right.
That's the worst is when it's like I hate what I'm talking about and I
Yeah.
can't do it. And that's what I love is now my own boss. So
Yeah.
if I can fire a client, I couldn't
Yeah.
do that before.
Just be like,
when I
never
was-
mind, I don't want-
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like it's just not worth it. Not worth my time.
Yeah.
And I travel with a an interface and a
Oh, so you can do it
decent.
when you're out on the
so
road.
do it out on the
You had to
road.
find a nice, quiet place.
Try.
Yeah,
I was doing a thing for this company. They were doing a movie about big pharma.
Okay.
And they were trying to get it ready for some film festival. And the guy I room with on the road, I think we're together because we both snore terribly. So I'll
too.
build like a little sheet over, like a little fort over myself. But these folks are like, we need these pickups if there's any way we can do it tonight. And I was like, here's the deal. It's
Yeah,
like,
they're
I
like,
can't
"Sir, we'd like
promise
them
you
without
clean
snoring."
audio.
Yeah.
I was like, there may be. And so I did it, and I wasn't really impressed with the noise reduction software I used because it took a down the. So I could just go through and cut those out,
yeah.
and it wasn't that bad.
That's
but
great.
it's I can usually find a time or place to sneak in auditions and
Yeah.
get that done. But usually I prefer to do like real work in the studio.
Yeah.
But I do if you work at Walmart, their in-store app for like setting your schedule.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm the guy that does the explainer videos for them.
Really?
So whenever those come through, it's a little different. So like everyone got sick in Texas recently when we were on this run. I think it was December, and we actually had to cancel 2 shows. I don't think the band has canceled shows
Wow.
since I've been with them. But yeah,
was like
David wasn't able to
real
fly.
bad.
and
When was this?
This was, I want to say it was December.
So right when everybody was getting sick, everybody like
It was horrible.
I think I was sick for like 2 months straight around then.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of things.
Yeah, it was
Down with the
intense.
sickness. Wow.
I guess.
But yeah, so
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I mean, yeah.
You like that?
Oh man. Well, so what do you got? What do you have coming up? Anything on the horizon you're excited about?
Really, I'm interested in seeing. I would like to think there's going to be another Cracker record to come
Yeah.
out. I've been having a blast doing. I'm finally got my business license, all that set up for my company, Del Toro Sound, which is basically the voiceover, but I also wanted to do music for hire.
Cool.
It was had a
Song
good
poems, like you play the music in the background and you get
If
people to
that's what
sing
they
over it?
want.
Whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be rad.
Well, Bill Doss, loved dearly. Every now and then would say, "Hey, I need a bass
Yeah.
part for this," and that's when I really caught on to. Oh, this is something that you can
There's
do.
money to
And,
be. Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's crazy because like every day or any time I'm working on something, like I wish I could play it for Bill. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, Bill.
but
Yeah.
you know,
It's funny. I had the same realization, and actually Matt and I, because Bill had asked me to do something and I was like, oh yeah, same exact thing. And
Yep.
Matt and I pursued it for a while and did some background music stuff.
Nice.
How
how did it go?
It was good. I mean, it was just it's hard to hustle all that stuff up and not know. You know what I mean? Like we didn't really know who we were going for, so we got a couple of jobs because of people that we knew.
Gotcha.
You know, and that was cool, and they paid well and stuff. But it was just, you know, I'm really bad at like trying to like keep up like a freelance thing. Like I'm gonna have like obviously like a big project to work on instead of like just like little, you know. Obviously, I just
You know, I did it one time for this guy Trevor Holland that was on Teen Beat.
Oh yeah.
I think he used my drum tracks on his album.
Yeah.
I never heard it. I don't know. I have no idea.
I did the same thing. For
I know it
Danger
wasn't
Mouse.
credited on it.
I recorded a bunch of Danger Mouse. Actually, Bill Doss, like Brian had asked me to play. He was doing something that he was working on that was supposed to be 60s sounding, and he was like, and this is when we had the Kindercore studio by Chase Park for like 1 year. Before it became a swingers club after we moved out.
I've heard stories.
Yeah. So anyway, Brian came in and Bill recorded it on tape, and then he gave it to him, gave him the reel of tape, and that was it. So like, I have no idea if he ever used that stuff for anything. It'd be really funny if it was like, oh, that was on the Black album, or that was on, you know, or the Gray album, or like that was on,
Nice.
you know, it would be like the new Red Hot Chili Peppers record. He busted it out for that.
Is he doing the new Red Hot Chili
The
Peppers?
most recent one he produced, yeah.
Nice.
Remember that?
No, it wasn't the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was the Red Hot Chili Pipers.
Oh, yeah. Great, like in the '60s when they would have like the beat, you know, like the fake Beatles bands or whatever, and make records.
Well, there's the Red Hot Chili Pipers. There was this famous story that happened recently where like this couple bought these tickets and flew somewhere and thought they bought Red Hot Chili Peppers tickets. And it was actually the Red Hot Chili Pipers, which is a bagpipe
Awesome.
band that covers Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Wow, that's like Dred Zeppelin level.
Yes.
That's like, man.
Yeah.
I would actually love that.
Yeah, I would much prefer Red Hot Chili Pipers to actually Red Hot Chili Peppers.
It's the best of both worlds. That's fantastic. Well, cool, man. Thank you so much for coming in. Is there
my
anything else
pleasure.
you wanted to mention while you're here?
Any other deep cuts, good ones?
Now there's I've just been having fun. Just it's like, hey, I'm going to do something that sounds like this. And since I've met the camper guys, it's fun. I was like, I'll send something to Jonathan Sagel in Sweden. And to me, it's just mind blowing. It's like I can do this.
Yeah, that's cool.
From the comfort of my own home. And talking about Bill, one of the things I loved about that was that he was calling in local people. And there's so many talented people in this town.
Oh yeah,
you know.
this town's crazy. And like the town, like you talk about moving here and then getting all this stuff. Like, you know, I have friends in, you know, nothing against New York City, but friends who are moving away from here to New York to be in a band. I'm like, dude, you are going the wrong way
New York
around.
is the worst place in the world to be in a band.
Absolutely
So
the
hard.
worst.
I mean,
unless you have a trust fund.
Yeah, well, which most of the people,
Which most of the people living in New York do have a trust fund, right?
Yeah,
But it's like cheap rent, a ton of musicians, so many opportunities.
really,
you got
really good
PR
ones.
companies, the best studios in the world,
Vinyl
plant,
a pressing plant now.
world class clubs.
I mean, so many other musicians. Like, why the fuck would you move somewhere that you have to pay 10 times the amount of rent?
yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I've have this conversation with my wife fairly often. It's like, you know, we love the house where we are, love this town, love the people. It's like it's my forever spot. You know? And
same here.
Absolutely.
happy to be from Virginia. Love it. Love to go back and visit.
Sure.
But it's gotten to the point when people ask me where I'm from now, instead of saying outside D.C., I say I'm from Athens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting
realize
to that point. I mean, I've
You haven't been here long enough.
I haven't been here long enough. I've moved
allowed
around
to.
I moved around quite a bit, but other than my hometown Jacksonville, I've stayed in Athens the longest of anywhere else. It's usually 2 years.
I mean,
and
I
move away.
understand why you want to be able to not have to claim Jacksonville
I
anymore.
love Jacksonville.
I understand why.
Everybody
you
hates
want to be
Jacksonville.
able
I
to
love
say
Jacksonville.
Athens, but you can't get them. Sorry.
You're not allowed to talk shit about Jacksonville. You're not from there. I'm allowed to talk shit about
Is it
Jacksonville.
Jackrabbits? Is that?
Oh yeah. I will refrain from
Yeah,
talking.
some
I mean,
bad
I know
shows
the
there.
guy who owns it, and I like the person.
Is that a
but-
stump room where they've gotten rid of all like the bar stools with tree stumps?
No, they were
Or was that
tire.
Brothers Bar?
That what now?
Brothers Bar, was that?
Oh my God! I thought you just said there was a place called Mark Mother's Bar, and I was like, holy shit!
my
no,
God.
There will be.
That's the best.
Trademark.
No,
Please open a bar.
that would be
Mark Mother's
fantastic.
Bar.
Jackrabbits had the tire rims, like the
Okay.
car rims. There was a place in LA that had the tree stumps.
Yeah,
It's called the Woods.
When I would play with Kevin, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're doing a stump room." I'm like, what in the world is a stump room? He's like, "They've replaced all the bar stools with tree stumps, so you can't break them over each other with fights."
Wow.
I was like, "Oh."
And then a bunch of those Scottish log throwing guys came in. They had the craziest bar fight they've ever had.
Time for a
People
caber
swinging
toss.
trees around.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jacksonville. I mean, it's got some issues. I feel like if someone went in there and opened a PR company, a good studio, and a couple of labels, they would do Jacksonville would start doing really well. There's a bunch of really good bands there, super talented musicians, really great people. There's also a lot of shitheads, but
I can see that. It happens.
it's one of the great things about Athens, man. It has everything. It has the entire music industry, whatever you call it, that you need. Like, it's got a music business school here. It's got great studios. It's got all the musicians. It's got PR companies, everything. What now?
Nucci Space.
Nucci
Girls
Exactly,
Rock.
which is unbelievable.
Like,
If you're a musician, you can get insurance here for free. Where the hell else can you do that?
People ask, what it's like living here. I'll often send that Patton Oswalt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can't. You either leave right after college, or you can't ever leave.
But yeah, it's been a great home, and I absolutely love it. And so many talented people.
I know it is incredible to just look
Like,
around.
I need a singing saw player.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah,
Well,
go
we've
saw
got
player.
4. Which one do you want?
Exactly.
I mean,
so
for example, like pedal steel.
Yeah.
Trying to find a pedal steel guitar player in Jacksonville, there was one.
oh wow.
And he played for everybody. There's like 10 here that I can think of.
Yep, that are good.
That are good, really good. There's a guy who works
One
on
of
a
them will deliver-
waterman,
yeah.
John Neff.
Yep,
He'll deliver
Neff,
water.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah.
It's I'm amazed with the level of talent in this town.
Agreed.
I really am.
Yeah, it's good to appreciate every now and then too. I feel like a lot of times it's easy to just kind of be like, oh, we're all in our own thing, and like it's true. You can see, I've seen and heard some of the most incredible musicians in this town. So
I think working at the 40 Watt was just one of the best things for me. I mean, quite literally, like 150 to 200 shows a year.
Yeah,
Right.
And I felt pretty connected at that time. I don't get out as much now, but I still, appreciate what I did see, and knowing that I can go out
exactly. I love
almost
knowing that
any
it's there.
night, and I'm gonna find something that's entertaining.
Yeah, now I'm just like, oh yeah, I want to go to that show, and then I forget about it.
Or, well, no, then you realize you're here.
Yeah,
at
I'm
work.
here until like 2 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning.
it's like,
Yeah.
I would love to go to that show, but I have to be at work.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to make the records, right?
Wow.
But
Absolutely.
well, speaking of, let's go make
Yeah,
some
go make
records.
some
I
more
think we
records,
we need to switch this next job up. But thank
Sounds
you for
good.
coming
Hey,
on.
thanks
man.
for having me.
This
Yeah,
has
of
been a
course, it was
blast.
great. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Load In, Load Out, a tour story podcast produced by me, Bill Fortenberry. This episode was recorded by our associate producer, Alex Scarborough. Our PSA writers are Matt Lewis and Lydia Brambilla. Our hosts, as always, are Ryan Lewis and Cash Carter. We'll see you back here next time. Have a wonderful week.